Yo, what up? It's D-Rock. I got a fucking conversation thing going on. What does that mean? It means I gotta tell you about something. So I've been having a very interesting time, and in that interesting time, it has been built around this little book right here. This little book right here has been blowing my fucking mind for the past few days. It is called The Candle of Vision by A.E. We're going to get to that a little bit more. Anyway, let me tell you the backstory about this book before I get into what I'm about to tell you about it, because it blows my motherfucking mind. The other month, I don't know how many months ago it was, I was doing some internet search for certain kinds of historical books about Britain. And more to do with not necessarily the source books, but kind of, you know, when they snippet a bunch of them together and splot them into one of these instead of buying a whole volume set, which I'm going to be doing eventually. Anyway, I was like, I've heard of Gildas, and I've heard of Geoffrey, however the fuck you say his name, and Bede and all that. And I was like, man, I'd like to have just kind of the snippets of each thing that they said so I could just get a little understanding of it. So I was looking into this. And I found this website called The Three Geese or something. Let's fucking get on the internet and show ya. You can see it right here. Pretty fucking sweet. Nice little website. Three Geese in Flight Books. They have very cool stuff. Here's their catalog, man. Look at this. Scottish, woodland nature, mound builder, huh? Medieval, early medieval, Tolkien, goddess, fantasy. As you can see, Celtic Christianity, Celtic studies, even some Native American-y things, Irish, Jewish, and all that funnish stuff, man. Just like a lot of cool little things that they have for you to check out. You should definitely check that place out. It's called, Three Geese in Flight. Very, very fun. Now, got this book from them. The guy had contacted me after I bought the book, and he's like, nice, you got the vision of history in early Britain. Very interesting. What made you want to get this book? And I was like, well, I'm doing research and stuff because I'm writing kind of a mythology. I'm trying to get in touch with, you know, my roots, if you will. Trying to find out, you know, the stories of our, where we come from and all that stuff. He's like, oh, very interesting. I'm like, and I kind of went into it a little bit more. I can't quite remember our conversation. And I was like, but I wanted to say, I love this website, very good, you know, and it's great that you're doing this service. And I kind of feel like I was led here. I feel like I was meant to come here. And I feel like I was meant to be drawn in here. And he's like, oh, yeah, it's very good. And he's like, well, feel free to browse the rest of them and stuff. And I did. And I was looking through them, and I saw a picture of this little book here, and a candle of vision. Sorry, the candle of vision. And I just was like, I don't know. I felt like, that's something, I don't know, I gotta get that. I don't know why, but I really want to get that. And I bought it. This little guy. And then it was, that man contacted me back again, and he's like, that book you just bought was like, the woman that owned this shop had passed away, and it was her favorite book. In fact, she signed it right there, and it meant so much to her. It was like the centerpiece of Celtic kind of studies, in a sense. I was like, well, holy shit. And he's like, you indeed were brought here for a reason, because this book is incredibly important. And then I got it, and I flipped through it, and I just kind of was like, very interesting. But I never read it. I had it for months. It didn't hit right, you know what I mean? Like, you get something, it's like, yeah, you got to get into it. At least that's how my mind works. I don't just do. I have to kind of naturally go into stuff. I don't know how to force myself to do things. At any rate, I finally started reading this a few days ago, and I thumbed into the contents again. And our talks about imagination in the past few videos really connected me to this, because there were chapters in here called Dreams, Imagination, The Memory of Earth, the mingling of nature, have imagination's body, the language of the gods, the memory of the spirit, Celtic imagination, the earth breathes. And I was like, this sounds right the fuck up my alley. So what did I do? I saw the word imagination and it started on page 66. Like, let's just jump onto page 66 and do a little, and just kind of like see what's going on here. And he describes seeing this many-colored world that exists beyond, one that we can all access in our own minds. And I was like, holy fuck! And, you know, it was just clicking on that level in such a deep way. It just kind of felt like the way he was speaking of trying to descend into this memory, this place where imagination may lie, and all the difficulties along the way. And is there a creator behind this, or is this within ourselves? Shit that I myself have been exploring in a way. I feel like I'm reading something I wrote. It just feels that close. I was like, whoa, this is really weird. Something beyond reason held me, and I felt like one who was in a dark room and hears the breathing of another creature, and himself waits breathless for its utterance. And I struggled to understand what wished to be said, because he was trying to delve into the imagination. And at last, while I was preternaturally dilated and intent, something whispered to me, call it the birth of Aeon. Because he was imagining this heavenly man, this divine man that fell from the divine mind and fell to earth, and that man became the king of that earth, of that realm. As he was imagining that, some voice told him it was the birth of Aeon. It says, the story of an Aeon, one of the first starry emanations of deity, one preeminent in the highest heavens, so nigh to deity and so high in pride that he would not be less than a god himself, and would endure no dominion over him save the law of his own will. This Aeon of my imagination revolted against heaven and left its courts, descending to the depths where it mirrored itself in chaos, weaving out of the wild elements a mansion for spirit. That mansion was our earth, and that Aeon was the god of our world. He made this in his mind. You could say, like, well, that does kind of mirror Satan and stuff like that, and I'm sure there's something in there that, like, the real Satan and what his real story has been bastardized by Christians. I really don't know. But when I read that, when he talked about the Aeon, I flashed back to our Aeon. Our group, led by Oapake, the Forgotten King, the highest Aeon. And I was like, sitting and thinking, remembering, like, going like, he needs a name, and then the word Aeon just felt right. It was just like, Aeon. I was like, yeah, Aeon. And so, as I read this now, and I read even more, I kept going further and further, and the shit he's talking about is like, oh my God, it's so up my alley. It's so very much like, I really would be awesome if in my book this exists. Like, I could use this as the book of the Forgotten King trying to speak to his people. All this stuff is just hitting me like crazy, and I'm mind blown about it. And so I've just been ingesting this book every day the past few days, 3 or 4 or whatever it's been. I can't describe to you how much it is, and I think maybe I should do a reading of it. Once I finish it, I have to study it, and then after I study it a little bit, maybe I can actually do a reading of it and just show you. And in that reading, I'll show you the parallels that I found in my life or in my work that coincide with this. All I know about the writer, I forgot his real name, but he has his pen name is A.E. And I was like, it's the A with E right next to it, how they're like one letter. And as soon as I saw that, I'm like, yeah, this is something special. This is someone I was meant to discover. And he's an Irish poet. Yeah, shocker, right? Getting in touch with his Irish roots and the stuff that he describes in the realm of dream and imagination and the mind and transcendence and using this vivid imagery to understand others' lives, our own lives, our past, and our future. It's kind of like tapping into this whole nother layer. I was floored. And I thought, well, that's exactly what I'm doing too. I didn't really realize that these people existed. And there was a very deep kinship that I can feel when I read this, like connecting to the man that wrote it. I've never felt that way about a book, you know, an author, a writer. I've never felt that way, like a kinship to him. And this book is beyond express, like, just how important it was to this woman who created this bookshop devoted to the Celtic and Britannic, if you want to use those words in Irish, mythologies, philosophies, histories, and all that stuff. And there's a couple other cultures that are involved in it too, but, and then how much this meant to her. And then I discovered the book and realized how much it's meant to me. I'm just, it blows my fucking mind. It really, really does. And I can't believe it. And so I just been, as I've been reading it, I can only handle a chapter at a time. And I'll just like read a chapter and I just have to close it and just, fucking A. Because not only do the words feel so similar and so like familiar to not necessarily my work, but more like my belief system, that I have to stop and just like fucking take it in. Like he had a chapter where he was trying to like talk to people that might find it hard to believe, and he's like, listen, you know, and he was trying to come up with the argument, and I almost wanted to skip the chapter because I was like, you don't need to, man. I'm already invested. I'm in. I don't need to persuade me anymore. Keep talking about what you're talking about. And it's just been blowing my fucking mind, dude. I need not seek, for what was my own would come to me. If any passed it, was because they were no longer mine. One buried in a dungeon for many years could have hailed sunshine, not have hailed sunshine. The sweet-smelling earth and the long-hidden infinitude of the skies more joyously than I, the melting of that which had seemed immutable. It is those who live and grow swiftly and who continually compare what is without with what is within, who have this certainty. Those who do not change see no change and recognize no law. He who has followed even in secret many lights of the Spirit can see one by one the answering torches gleam. When I was made certain about this, I accepted what befell with resignation. I knew that all I met was part of myself, and that what I could not comprehend was related by affinity to some yet unrealized force in my being. We have within us the lamp of the world, and nature, the genie, is the slave of the lamp, and must fashion life about us as we fashion it within ourselves. What we are alone has power. We may give up the outward personal struggle and ambition, and if we leave all to the law, all that is rightly ours will be paid. Man becomes truly the Superman when he has this proud consciousness, no matter where he may be, in what seemingly obscurity, he is still the king, still master of his fate, and circumstance reels about him or as still as he, in the solitude of his spirit, is mighty or humble. We are indeed most miserable when we dream. We have no power over circumstance, and I count it the highest wisdom to know is of the living universe, that there is no destiny in the other than that we make for ourselves, how the spirit is kindled, how it feels its power. When outward quiet, it can see the coming and going of life, as it dilates with itself or is still. Then do we move in miracle and wonder. Then does the universe appear to us as it did to the Indian sage who said that to him who was perfect in meditation all rivers were sacred as the Ganges, and all speech was holy. You read this shit like that, and then you feel this kinship, and it's like, well, then I have to explore this fucking book. There's no other alternative. I have no choice. Mm-hmm. And each section I read is more and more like when he was using the example of lighting up the darkness of the mind so that we may become receptors, or activate our receptors and become receptive to that which is divine and beyond, and some sort of connection that we may have. It just instantly, I was like, oh my God, that place, that dark place I described in the book. The doorway, the one the forgotten king created, the one that Odysseus had to close. This is that place, the mind of God. And when he talks about his mind of man ascending into this point to which it's like you come face to face with a godlike being of consciousness, and one that throws out the imagination of all living things and all beings that do and do not exist, and how we interact with them, and how we live on these parallel levels with these beings. I was just like, that's the fucking book, man. That's like, I almost don't even need to write anymore. It's been done. We're good. We don't need to do this anymore. We're all completed. It's been a journey like that for me. Something that I cannot explain. And I've just been very animate about continuously discovering this journey so far. We have been led down a great road, one that we ourselves kind of walked into merely by our own curiosity, but along the way, I feel myself grow day by day. It's insane. I can't explain it. It's like I look back to 2012 when I started this journey, and now it's 2024 that we're, you know what I mean, however many years that is, I don't know, 11, 12 years. And how much I've grown because of that, what I've gained, what I've learned. All along the way, the cultures that I discovered in my mind, like the Scythians and the Celts and the Thracians and the Aryans, which with the audio. Celtic mythologies, Celtic theology in a sense. This feels like, it feels very religious when I read it. I feel like this is my holy book. Not only that, but histories that were never really taught to me. Different people that have existed that I find great meaning in. Not only that, but the music I've been exploring along the way. Music of like ELO, the Beach Boys, mostly Brian Wilson's kind of era where, his whole story is amazing to me. And obviously the Beatles and a few other bands. It's like those are all these huge elements that have guided me down this path to discover myself. And along the way, Eris and his stories just mirroring that. Just mirroring it. And just becoming more in tune with that which exists around me like I was previous. When I started writing, and originally I was more at peace with everything because I didn't know as much and I had to muddle my mind up. And now it's trying to find peace inside of that again. And that's been very difficult. But the past few days I've been going for walks at my, the new place where I live. There's like this trail back there. There's a lake and there's like a river and stuff. And I just been walking it and I just been enjoying taking it in. I just would pay homage to the being that sees over this beautiful land and just enjoy it more than I ever had before. And it's just, I feel myself growing so much every day. And in every single way. And so it's been very powerful for me to just continue down this road and see to it that all the things that are happening are truly happening. And I can't explain how they are, when they are, what's going to happen. But along the way, I know I'm growing very slowly into the person that I want to be. It's taken a long time. It's been very difficult. It's not been some easy fucking journey. It's been incredibly difficult. There's been a lot of heartbreak and sadness and frustration and misunderstanding and pain and misery and depression and sadness along the way. But there's also been joy and comfort and love and passion and expression and feeling and true emotions as well. So it's like been this yin-yang kind of event. And the people with which I've met that mean a lot to me have helped me grow in some sense as well, and also the people that have hurt me along the way have helped me grow in some sense as well, though you got to go back before you go forward, people like that. It's nuts, man. It really is pretty crazy, and in many ways, every time I look at the book I'm writing, I really see me exposing, me opening the door of my own mind for someone, whoever the fuck would read it, to find. I'm seeing it now. And so as I go in there, I treat I very well, I have to like treat it very cautiously and very seriously and very meaningfully, because I'm not just trying to get you to read a book, catch you in the rye, like, oh, hear me bitch about stuff and listen how opinionated I am and I think I know what the world should be. It's not like that. It's more showing you a character who doesn't know what to do or how to do it or where to go or how to go, and everyone around him is trying to tell him how to do it, and he's just got to sit there and figure it out, like, this is what you want to do. It's easy to follow people all the time because at least they got it and I don't give a fuck, so let's just go where they're going. And you get to watch a character slowly go like, maybe I don't want to fucking do that anymore. And maybe my journeying is up here, as it says in this book. When people that travel a lot think that makes them worldly, which I guess, but to become worldly within your own mind, because you travel up here all the time, that is the most meaningful travel you could ever do. And I think there is nothing greater than exploring your own self and the world that you are in inside your head first before you go out and explore that next place, the realm around us. I think it's crucial to do that. One of the greatest things we can do as human beings is study ourselves and our place in this world. Not even necessarily on a cosmic level, because that might not even exist. It's just could be some concept, but on a level that's truly you, because you are the only one that can truly shape your life. There is a journey that was laid before you, a destiny, but one that you laid yourself. You know what I mean? At least that's what I think. I could be wrong. I might be wrong. I most likely am wrong, but I can't help but feel like maybe there's more to this journey than meets the eye. Because the more I grow, the closer I come to death, the more I realize some of the things that were locked inside my head that I always believed that I was too scared to admit. And that is the door opening.